This is truly seat of your pants action. Your pants, not mine. Welcome to Content and Chai. I'm Dave Thackeray, the host, and more importantly, content strategist extraordinaire. And welcome to the 11th of July 2025 episode. That crucially means it's a Friday. That means we've got a ton to get through. That means that if you want to captivate your customer and colleague communities with creative content, well planned, well considered, and more importantly, well hung, you're in the right place. So today we've had some improvements and some tiny cosmetic improvements made to Content Challenge Show, which is the fundamental part of this great experience that you're about to endure. You will see that they have an ask custom questions section, ask a colleague and ask a customer. This is for clarifying questions once we've been issued with the content strategy challenge for the day. It's obviously not fully enmeshed yet. It's outside of the main user experience from a journey standpoint. This is not optimal, but it is just off the back of some thoughts that I had about how I can probe a bit more deeply into the challenge, as you would with a client, as you would with a stakeholder. You're not just going to take blindly what they tell you at first pass. There's obviously got to be a little bit more discovery work before you start embarking on your content strategy deliberations. Okay, we haven't got any music today. We can do. I can put some on. Let's have a look, see if there's anything nice here. We had some dour chill hop yesterday. I think some down tempo might be nice. I might need to turn this down a little bit. Sounds like a hammer drill. Okay, perfect. Well, that'll do for now. It means that we avoid the all that you have in your ears. Right. So this is how it works. As you know, and as from yesterday, I had a fantastic experience yesterday with a fictional business, and that is one of the problems when you ask AI to create any kind of challenge or capstone project for you, is it ain't always going to deliver the way that you expect. And that is the frantic, strange nature of business. You never really know, Forrest Gump style, what you're going to get from a client or from a stakeholder for your next big professional adventure. So it was good because that meant that I didn't have a website to go to. I couldn't do the digging in the conventional sense. So we did stuff that was around rather than Route One, and we learned some interesting things. I took you on a journey through Reddit answers, which for me is fantastic. I've got a kid coming in October, and I am panicking like crazy about the Poonami. And I just want to get a sense from other parents who aren't in my nearest orbit how they handle stuff like that. Do we have to cover a baby in cling film? By the way, that was a joke. Is there a way of transporting baby once the eruption has occurred, Vesuvius style, to the changing place? I'm not doing very well with the terminology here. Is there some sort of silicon solution, the transportation device? Can it be wiped clean on a very easy basis? The wife was talking about towels, and I'm like, oh God, imagine the fibers. So this is where I will go. I'll go to Reddit answers. Really, it's the base camp before we start getting into any great detail. I probably won't go there today because, as you're aware, we use two frameworks, the Power Framework and the Scamper Framework. And depending on the content strategy challenge that I get today, might determine whether or not I need to go down that very specific route. There may be answers elsewhere. We don't know until we get started. So I'm going to generate this challenge, the last one of the week. Super exciting and usually very quick. This is the power of Google's Gemini, and I think we're using the 2.5 Flash experimental model, and as you can see, it's delivered. Health first digital. God, why am I panicking? It's in Germany as well, which is lovely. I'd be surprised if this website works. It doesn't. It's another fictional company. AI, honestly. If you don't kill us with kindness, you're going to kill us with panic. or good job we've got the power framework to help me. So here's how this is going to work. I get a very brief précis of the challenge of my now fictional client. This should be a business that exists in the real world, so I can actually give some sort of value to a business that doesn't necessarily have the luxury of a content strategist. I'm just going to pop into um, my captions because I want to make sure that you know where you're going if you need me, and God knows you do. Um, in the real world, we'll be getting a client pitch. Here's the problem that we've got, and then we'll quickly work through, do like a very short. To be honest, this what you're seeing now is not a two-way dialogue, although I could do that. I might introduce some sort of voice from AI so that I can get this and then I can discuss it with AI rather than just do it in a text-based sense. And then I can present it back to the client and the client can give me their feedback. That would be really nice, I think. I'll try and build that over the weekend so we've got something a little bit more interactive next time. But for now, purely text-based, I'm going to take you through what I've been presented as a content strategy challenge, and then we're going to get stuck in. Okay, so health first digital. What I tend to do, I like to get into the SWOT first, just to get a sense of the challenges and opportunities for this business. So I'm just going to go down there first of all and look into the SWOT for health first digital. So niche focus on rural healthcare providers. Interesting business proposition. They've got a telemedicine platform. I assume that's something very similar to video consultation. And yeah, AI is great there because it allows the GP or the MD from a US standpoint to have answers on the hoof. I was reading a really good Reddit post the other day, which was responding to how AI we've seen the memes and the tropes lately about people who said AI diagnosed a medical condition that it took human healthcare providers 10 years to miss. And the MD, the GP, was basically saying, look, it's great if you've got enough data and so that it substantiates what your GP has said or it gives you a really worthwhile second opinion. But if you only go to AI with a light touch of data, not enough data, then we've all had those problems with webmd.com where we've gone in and gone, oh my God, I've got a headache. And all of a sudden you've got a brain tumor. So this having enough data is key to helping AI rifle through its notes, the world's largest set of notes to diagnose condition for you. So that was a bit of a deviation, but anyway, credibility, data privacy, not really that interested. Growing demand. So we're going into the opportunity section of SWOT now. Growing demand for technological solutions to address rural healthcare disparities. I'm starting to build a picture now of what the real challenge is. Partnerships, always important. This is very AI, isn't it? With the high public and industry interest in AI and healthcare, big hot potato right now. Small team size, that's a big thing to consider for a content strategist coming in. It's like, what can you handle? And AI can help when you have a tiny team, should always be used as a sparring partner, but never the actual solution. Brand awareness concentrated, okay. Lack of in-house AI communication experts. Well, I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested in whether you have people inside those four walls that can communicate effectively with or without technology. Skepticism and fear of AI. Clearly, this is a very big AI play that we're being asked to analyze as content strategists. Larger, well-funded competitors, yes. Always a problem. David v. Goliath. Rapid pace of AI development, quickly rendering educational content outdated. Well, humans have been around for thousands of years and we haven't largely changed. Our foreheads have got smaller, our brains have got bigger, but really how we are, our human behavior, has changed an awful lot. So I'm not sure whether, sure, if you want to focus on the here and now, the really important current topics, they are changing or being tweaked. But if you focus on the foundations and the basics first, I think that is always going to see you through. into winning ways. Stringent and evolving regulatory landscape for AI in healthcare. Yes, we know all about that. Right. So I'm going to really tidy this up as well. I think we're going to move to Tailwind or Shad CN as far as the UI goes for this, so that it becomes easier for you guys at home, you crazy cats, to see. So I'm going to narrate some of this. So, first and foremost, whenever I talk to clients, I say, what is the success metric? How are you going to judge the success of our endeavors together? Marketing qualified leads, the all important MQLs, originating from engagement with AI focused content, 30% within 12 months. This is going to be challenging because you've got the backdrop of AI regulation in healthcare, and also you want to be focusing on how that specifically is going to be generating MQLs for Health First Digital over the next 12 months. Biggie. Okay, so I'm only going to go through certain sections of this. Foundation of trust, ahead of potential AI platform integrations. Confusing. So the challenge: develop a comprehensive content marketing strategy. Forget about the marketing bit; it's all the same. Content strategy focused on building trust and educating rural healthcare providers about the value and safety of AI in healthcare, specifically designed to achieve the stated MQL growth metric. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is ask a colleague. New feature, might as well make the most of it. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit snarky, right? So I've programmed this to be a bit cheeky. So we're going to have to really overanalyze what's being said to read between the lines to see if there is any real value in what we're getting back. And I'm going to jump between asking a colleague and then doing a little bit more analysis and then come back and kind of weave these things in. So asking a colleague. So we'll say, what has your experience been so far with your providers in terms of AI and integration of newer technologies? Be as specific and detailed as you can and provide at least one real case study of a positive and a less than positive interaction and outcome. Okay, so we'll get that going. Brilliant. Okay, so is there anything else that we need? I'm starting to form in my head some ideas, and I'm not going to share with you notes today, but I will share with you notes in the regular story that I create that really encircles content and chai. And that will go into a little bit more detail about my thinking, and then we'll look to what AI has to say. You'll know hallmark of this after I've done all these bits and pieces is I'm allowed to see what AI would make of this, and then okay. So my experience, this is a really cheeky client colleague, content brilliance. So you see everything from wide-eyed enthusiasm, crikey, this could actually save us, to outright suspicion, thinking that AI is just Skynet and Scrubs. Good shout. The trick is meeting them where they are, acknowledging the skepticism and showing tangible benefits, not just theoretical waffle. Get the sales guys and implementation teams to document every single aha moment and every single, hold on a minute, what about query? That's your real gold dust for content. Now, this is helpful because whenever I work with any team, any business, any organization, there are always two parts of that business I go to, first of all, and they are both chai time. They're both focused on customer. They're both working as often as possible with the customer. So that could be the sales team, the BD team, or it could be the marketing team. Because any marketing team of any size, any stripe, will be doing some kind of user research. So I want to get to the bottom of what are the main common pain points, not specifically related to this challenge, but in general. Because if we can find the objections and how some of our customers have overcome them, we can get a rising tide raises all ships, doesn't it? So we can bring everybody up there. And as soon as we find a poster child for how somebody is working brilliantly with Health First Digital, we can show them how in their current situation they might struggle to get there, but with this AI forward approach, they can start to see the light. So this is really helpful. So thank you, colleague. I might ask a customer, what are your main concerns about integrating AI into your practice? Have you yet had any good experiences that give you encouragement and reassurance that this could be something worth exploring? And then finally, if you had a genie in a bottle, what would be your one wish to in the way that AI would be integrated into your business? Okay, let's see if that works. Great. So that's going off now to ask a customer of Health First Digital. Okay, so the discovery phase for any content strategy, just to be clear, is to understand the pain points and understand how so far this business has set about trying to tackle that primary problem. And you'll know this from my my book that I put out last year that's available on wordofmouth.com, which is called my God, how can I not remember? It was something it was sold to sold, wasn't it? From solved to sold. Amazing. When you do so much, you just forget what books you've written. Solved to sold. Okay, and what this book was doing essentially was finding out the biggest problem in the room and then figuring out which solutions you need to provide that provide a wrapper for that problem, that squeeze it, that squash it, that kill it. Don't want to kill anything in the healthcare world, just to be clear. I can see the difficulty level here is 7 out of 10, so it's not an easy one. So first thing we need to do is find the problem. So we know from scouring these details, there are ethical implications, there's data privacy issues, reliability issues, and the practical implementation of AI are some of the main problems for the customer. Let me just reinforce that by whatever the answer is that we get here. My main worry is it just makes things complicated and adds more problems than it solves. I haven't seen anything that proves it's actually worth the hassle yet. If I had a wish, it would be for AI to just magically handle all the ridiculous paperwork and billing stuff so we could actually see patients. So, and this is where AI and content strategy is coming together. We know that there are two important things here that we need to discuss. And we might be going a little bit off piste here, but it's really important to think about. Three things: research, healthcare, and specifically managing privately data so that AI essentially becomes another colleague that signed an NDA because it's all within your four walls. There are three things there. So let's look at the research. So there are new models coming out right now that are able to work hand in hand with your GP to surface data and information and insights that you might ordinarily have forgot, or they might not be close at hand in one of your books. So that's a benefit, and that's something that you can use right away, and that's available to integrate within your organization. If you've got a beefy enough computer or you've got a mini data center on premise, then all of this stuff is firewalled and you don't need to worry about it being encroached upon by anybody outside, unless you're Marks and Spencers. I believe you guys had a bit of problem with cybercrime, as did a few other British businesses lately. We are not in this fight. We don't have a dog in it. Very different thing. Firewalls, you've got data in your organization already. Just by bringing a local instance of an AI specialized language model into your business does not make you more susceptible or less susceptible to cybercrime. It's just, as I say, it's essentially bringing in a digital colleague with a very, very deep understanding of your domain. Healthcare, Microsoft and Google as well are both working feverishly at providing these solutions that sit alongside your human GP or your human healthcare provider to do what essentially AI has done with customer services right now, which is to put AI in the loop but not have AI take over, so that when you're having conversations with your patients, AI is providing in real time things that you might need to ask. Cluely's doing this at the moment, which is an interesting proposition. Not going to go into that right now, but if you check out Roy's Cluely, which sits on top of meetings, not inside meetings as attendees, it's able to be your virtual note taker. Please don't take Cluely on, by the way, as an application. Certainly not in the healthcare sector. It would go gangbusters. You'd be shut down in weeks. But it's interesting that we are doing a really good job right now with note taking and regulated note taking. So the Microsoft and the Google medical language model solutions that are coming down the pipe very quickly right now would be a great solution there to address the paperwork as well. And we know that there are some great ways that when you take RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, when you create clusters of data that is known to your organization, you can have AI look into those knowledge bases while creating notes based on conversations, discussions, meetings that you're having in real time, so that there is a solution there. And we could create content around that that would reassure your rural healthcare providers that you are doing everything humanly possible and AI possible to look into how we can better support them with AI. And actually, talking back to experiences, I think there was a third point I wanted to make there, but we'll go back to this. Talking about reassurance, when I was working on newspapers, daily newspapers, we created a focus group of readers. And this let them in, showed them the inner sanctum. They became part of the paperati. And we also were able to tap them up for stories. These guys were community leaders. I mean, you've got to be very, very smart as to who you bring into these little communities of yours. But the effort that we made to bring them in, to make them feel like VIPs, was repaid so many times over. Because if we were struggling to find stringers, which are essentially people who would inform us, or you were informant about potential news stories, these guys were actually able to go out and find them for us, because they were essentially they were unpaid members of the team. And so if you're able to do this, Health First Digital is able to do this by looking into the providers that are most keen on reducing paperwork and the billing stuff, as our customer says here. And you're able to have them trial things before you do a wider rollout, like a beta. In government, we had alpha, beta. I don't think it went beyond that, and then it was like live, you know. These are great ways that you can test the waters before you go wholesale. Strongly recommend that you do that. So part of we've discussed so far with the content strategy, I won't go into the third point right now, go into too much detail. But as far as content strategy goes in the discovery phase, okay, well, we need to understand what the principal pain points are, the rejections, the objections of AI in these rural healthcare providers' environments, their local space. We've already seen some seeds of opportunity here by reducing the amount of time. It's the same with everybody. AI does a great job of manipulating and managing unstructured data. It does an even better job when you can structure it. So maybe now is a really good opportunity for you, as part of your content strategy, to provide almost like an academy, an AI academy for your rural healthcare providers. Reminding me of that rural juror. Which is that Parks and Rec? I would go out there to your healthcare providers and say, look, we're creating an AI academy. We want to make sure that you are fully immersed in what's possible. And we're going to give you a toolkit, and we're going to give you a sandbox, a simulated environment where you can create very simply a digital twin of your business, and you can see how AI is evolving it. And you could do workshops and webinars about this. And you know what? You could probably sell a course. So this could be a revenue generator off the back of it. If you're able to do this locally, and if you're able to network with lots of people in your industry sector and find solutions, this could be a really, really good way to beef up your business in the long term. So we've got core business challenges and objectives. We've done that. Target audience and their needs. Well, we know that. We know that, but we also know that we can break that down into two: the skeptics, the vampires, and the balloons. The drains and the balloons, vampires and the cheerleaders, drains and balloons. And this is a really good way of we've got the Boston Consulting Matrix with the dogs and the cows and stuff. But when it comes to audiences, and when you're working with a community and there's going to be cheerleaders and cynics, you can use these two different groups. Probably better not to make it public, but vampires and cheerleaders, the ones that are the hardest to persuade, and the cheerleaders are the ones that are rooting for it. They fully embrace this change, and we've also interchangeably used that with balloons and drains as well. Maybe easier. You're probably more welcomed by the respective communities. It's not so bad to be a drain, but do you want to be a vampire? I don't know, unless you're Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. Interview with a Vampire. Must watch that film again. Okay, so we have analysed the target audience. We know, thanks to this new feature, Ask a Customer, we've validated some of the concerns that we've got about what the problems this area of our client community are suffering. Key content pillars and messaging themes. Well, we know that this is about marketing qualified leads originating from engagement. So we know that we want to work with more rural healthcare providers. I think the first thing we need to do is get our own house in order. And I think we need to make our existing providers our case studies. And if we can follow that route through content strategy of, first of all, identifying those who are particularly in favor. And I think the customer that we talked about when they said about the billing stuff and the paperwork stuff, I think they could be a closet cheerleader. So I want to identify these partners that we currently have, maybe the ones that have been here for longer as well, with tenure, because from a case study standpoint, nothing shines brighter than somebody who says, I've been with this organization for 15 years. They've gone from strength to strength. They continue to support me, and they're always bringing in new, tried and tested innovations to challenge our business and make us go further. Amazing. How irresistible is that? So you want I could probably do a quadrant, or maybe I should. You've got those who are big in favor, who are less in favor. You've got those people who are somewhat in favor, but with a long tenure with your organization as a partner. And you've got those who just think it's shit. And, each of those four quadrant constituents, they all have different value as far as content strategy goes, and if you can win the guys bottom right who are like forget it, then you're onto winning ways. So get your house in order before you do the MQLs. We've got 12 months, so I would probably break this down as first, if you're quick and you have really good relationships, first 4 weeks is all about your existing client community, really getting to the bottom of the problem, thrashing out the pain point around this, and then figuring out ways very quickly and starting to almost implement them in a very safe space, solutions that make people happy. And I think this AI Academy could be great, informed by those people who you've brought into your new focus group. If you're brave, from all of those four quadrants, varying degrees on the supportive spectrum, from totally supportive to not at all, could be some great opportunities here. And then from there, maybe from, you're probably into sort of months 2 and 3, months 4 to 6, then you start to shout about it, because you're starting to create case studies then of people who have seen the light. And you know what? Case studies right now are always good. So reflect on those testimonials and success stories that you've had, bring them out. You don't necessarily need to be focusing on the latest, greatest technology as part of Health First Digital. You just need to focus on how we can better support these future rural healthcare providers by showing examples of how we're working with their contemporaries, their peers. So great opportunities there. I think we've done that. Content formats and challenge again. So we've got focus groups. We can probably, a bit like I've talked about the podcast pyramid in the past, where if you create a video, you can very quickly create an audio version of that. which is what I do with these content and chai. And then you create a white paper. Then you can create a series of features that that fountain from that cascade. That's the word. That cascade from that video that you've created. There are so many different content formats that you can generate once you start with one that is able to be sliced and diced a million different ways, and that starts with video. So with this, I would ask if you're able to record the sessions. People are getting more and more familiar with the idea of recorded sessions, and once you get into it, it's a bit like when you hand somebody a microphone to start with. They freeze, and then eventually, as you become empathetic and you talk about their challenges, and they start to loosen up, those are the words, they start to tell their truth. And so I think it's worth it, because I think once you've got the recording and you promise that you're going to anonymize it, but the experiences may be shared to support the sector at large, people are largely pretty happy with that, and you can get them to sign off. But because it's anonymized and you're not speaking specifically to people, and you might want to do that further down the track, once they're familiar with this focus group environment, you might want to say, can I just interview you on a regular basis, or can you co-host with me on a podcast about this transformation that we're going through as far as AI and the things that we're trying in a very heavily regulated environment? Could be something there. Distribution strategy. So a lot of this is going to be in the discovery, and we've got a lot of information here. I think we need to go back to this about the reliability, the ethics, the privacy, and how we implement it. And I would always say with this, the distribution strategy, I think it's pretty clear. Is I think we need to be creating a newsletter, and we need to be getting more active in the news outlets that our MQLs are living in. And this could be on LinkedIn. This could be creating a group on LinkedIn, or again, yesterday we talked about where are these people, and the distribution strategy hangs its hat on the location of these people. So we need to figure that out first of all. Where are these people before we can answer the question of how our distribution strategy plays out? But I think we know that there are hesitations as far as innovation goes, and probably some of these MQLs are probably quite settled with their whatever their equivalent of Health First Digital is. So we need to do some discovery work there to have a chat. Maybe this is maybe I could do this. You're a prospective customer, and we can come back to this, not a current customer of Health First Digital. What are your frustrations with your current provider, and what would it take for you to consider moving to Health First Digital? See what goes on with that. That might replace this then, or it might just not work. But those are the questions that I want to ask as far as the content distribution strategy. Success metrics and KPIs, we know them, and we're going to focus wholly on the MQLs, because if we're starting to work with this client for the very first time, we need to either help them to reconsider the success metric, or we need to focus specifically on what they've come to in the first place. But I think once we get to know their future customer better, have we got this now? There we go. My current telemedicine system is unreliable. Getting technical help. Oh, wow. Easy to use, reliable, didn't cost a fortune for our small practice. This is amazing. So if we take these two things into account, we've lost the other one, which is a shame. Our first customer inquiry with a current Health First Digital client was around how can we use AI to make billing and paperwork easier and quicker. And here we've got how can we potentially use AI to make our telemedicine system easier to use. So there's something here, isn't there? And we talked around those three things about the fact that there are new language models around research and around medical support, practitioner support. So maybe there's something here as well in the education piece. And again, it's very difficult, isn't it? Because there are so many ways we can do this, and there's so many uncertainties and so many questions, but I think we've answered some questions. And I think in the recording that I will share with you, where we start to break everything that we've talked about today down. It's going to be brilliant, by the way. I'm really excited about that. These recordings will eventually go on to wordofmouth.com, which I'm currently rebooting, which is our content strategy studio online, which is where you can go, dave@wordofmouth.com, or come see me on X @Dave Thackeray if you want to talk about your content strategy challenge, or maybe you just want to reboot your content online because it's frustrating the heck out of you. And believe me, that is the situation for most people. By then, I'll have had a haircut. But I think, largely speaking, in a short amount of time, implementation timeline, we know it's within a year, but we've talked about the timeline about getting to understand our current customers a bit better. Maybe finding out on LinkedIn if we have any competitor customers as our first or second connections, or if somebody can introduce us to them, and then create some sort of a paid research lab where these people can come in. Maybe it's not paid in the sort of financial sense. Maybe it's a reward. Maybe we can give them access to a new tool that we can hash up with AI that will help them, that will complement their existing telemedicine solution. Very exciting. Budget and resource requirements depends on the team. But you're very keen on AI at Health First Digital, so there's no reason why we can't create drafts of the content for the AI Academy for your current customers. There's no reason why we can't do the interviews using some sort of AI note-taking solution. I've talked a lot about things like the latest darling is a granola, which is going great guns. I've used read.ai, which is great, and I currently use, which I don't use here, which I probably should, Fathom. Fathom.video, I think they are. Great. All of them give you Sana as well, which is a much more comprehensive AI solution. All of them give you up to 10 free note-taken meetings per month, so you can kick the tires. I would recommend doing that. We can do this on a shoestring. But I'm talking about, you can use these different AI note-taking solutions to record case studies and then get AI to essentially create a draft, check it with the client, get it on the website, get it on your newsletter. Newsletter is really important, by the way. I mean, you can use stuff like Substack, or you can move to ConvertKit or Campaign Monitor or Beehive if you want to use a paid solution with a lot more flexibility and a lot less marketing. Or you can create your own. AI gives you a multitude of opportunities these days. I'm going to finish off with the AI solution. Not ready yet to evaluate the solution because that's my solution. We'll do that once we've figured out a way that we can create an abbreviated, a summarized version of what I'm talking to you about right now. Solution strategy, building trust through education and practical empowerment. We talked about education, didn't we? I think that's good. We've got an implementation timeline here, which is amazing. Key recommendations, webinar and workshop series. We talked about that. Case study, taking the words out of my mouth. Myth busting content, that is really helpful. We could have got round to that. We didn't. AI readiness assessment and benefit explorer tool. Tools are always great. You can create them very simply and lovable. We need to think about the regulation and the privacy around here, but in a very generic sense, we can do that without even thinking about it. And the how-to and integration guides would be part of the AI Academy. So I think the human has done pretty well here. I think this might be a draw today. It was 1-0 yesterday, but I think we might bring it back to 2-1 to me. AI focused content engagement. Yeah, we've talked about all that stuff. I think today has been a great day. I'm really pleased that you've shared some time with me. I'm really pleased. Tammy Tube said hi. I can humbly apologize that I've not said hi back to you. I'm sorry. I've been so focused today on all of the great stuff that's been happening on the Content Challenge show. You've been watching Chai and Content. I'm Dave Thackeray from Word of Mouth. Do contact me if you want to know anything about content strategy at all. Even if it's just a free chat, just get in touch with me, dave@wordofmouth.com, or ping me at Dave Thackeray on Twitter. It's been a blast. Have a great weekend.